Hello, friend. Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Mr. Robot Season 4, Episode 5. It's called 405, Method Not Allowed. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, I do have a question. I just start this review with one simple question. At which point during the episode did it click what the gimmick of the episode was? Because it's not clear at the start, because the one line of dialogue at the start is Darlene saying, "It's cool, dude, we don't have to talk." But that doesn't tell you it right away, because that's like, okay, that's in the context of the scene. It's fine.
Yeah. Probably within 4 or 5 minutes of that.
What scene?
I don't know, whatever came. I'll tell you a specific moment. It was very early. It was just after that, and I was like, huh. I wonder, it'd been a while. I'm like, I wonder if they're going for it. And then I was actively looking, and I was like, yeah, okay. Once one of the text messages came through, I think by the time we got Price's text for sure, I was like, okay, that confirms it.
Price's text. That doesn't help. I can't remember where Price's scenes were interspersed, but it was just it's one of those things where it's the same with like the one take episode. Although I think I knew about that going in when that episode happened in season 3.
I did.
I think I did, but I've definitely watched episodes like that before. I mean, I remember watching Birdman, not knowing that was a one-take movie.
Oh, really?
And it got to about the 10-minute mark, and I went, I don't think they've cut away yet. There's been no cuts yet. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then like 5 minutes later, I go, you know what? I think this whole movie's going to be this.
To be fair, even when you have like a one-er in a movie or TV show, just a one scene thing where it's like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, you'd always realise it until like halfway through. You're like, wait a minute, there's been no cuts.
Hang on a second. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that kind of effect to it, and so I think it was specifically by the time we had a third character who had a scene where there was no talking, because it was cutting around obviously Price and Krista and so on and Dom. I think it's once we had one of everyone, I kind of went, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No one's talked in any scenes. And I remembered the only line of dialogue we had is cool, dude, we don't have to talk. And I went, oh, I was very witty. And it was a scene, Krista's second scene, about halfway through the episode, where she's in the store, she's buying, various things. Who leaves their shopping till Christmas Day? I'm just, Krista, what are you doing?
Hey, I bet you the shops are dead.
I mean, true. I mean, that's it. It's still New York City, so I mean, it's still busier than most places on Christmas Day. I'm going to hazard a guess, but
yeah.
It was actually during her scene there. Not when I had already realised what the gimmick was, but it was during that scene I actually predicted almost to the line of dialogue how this episode was going to end, because it occurred to me, okay, we're watching Krista, we know that Vera's coming after her, that's probably going to be like the end of her story here, is that him showing up.
Yeah.
And then it just occurred to me, there's going to be a line of dialogue at the end of this, because it's going to feel so impactful, because there's not been one all episode.
Yeah.
And it just made sense that it's going to be him saying something along the lines of, we need to talk, right? Yeah. It wasn't that exact words, but it was close.
You get the point. Yeah, I was saying it's we need to talk, or some variation of that.
It clicked in my head, and I'm not mad that it was predictable in that way, because it just made sense. But
the only other thing it could have been was Elliot saying something to Darlene.
To sort of like, again, that'd also bookend, because she said something to him at the start. That said, though, I wouldn't put it past Esmail doing something just funny with the line at the end. Like, instead of something serious that bookended it, just being like, Darlene, like, again saying, "Oh, you're such a dick," and just walking away, and then roll credits. I would not have put it past him to do something like that. So, yes, as we've been clearly indicating in the last couple of minutes, this episode is a silent episode in the sense that there is no dialogue. Barring one line at the start where Darlene says, "It's okay, dude, we don't have to talk," and then one line at the end from Vera saying, "Okay, it's time to talk." And the rest of it takes place, and obviously there's sound, there's still, sound effects and footsteps, and people are still sending text messages, but it's, it's as close as Esmail's going to do to his version of Hush, which was an episode of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where everyone lost their voices.
His version of Hush, as if this isn't 1,000 times better.
Why do we have to draw comparisons as far as quality goes? But Hush is maybe the most famous episode of TV that is silent. It's the most prolific.
Doesn't make it the best. Not anymore.
I never said it was the best. I have issue with the obvious digs that are made. Shots have been fired where no shots needed to be fired.
Shots always need to be fired.
Also, I could be wrong, but I think when we see clips from Die Hard on the TV when the guard's watching it, I think even those moments are somehow they picked moments that had no dialogue, just so there wasn't any talking.
Yeah, no, they do, and there's a few points where like you can see a TV on in the background where like when Dom's watching it at some point, especially towards the end, was the news report of what had happened, but it's muted, but you just see the headlines.
Yep. Really, we're out for it. And this is, Mr. Robot done this a couple of times in season 3 where it had we had the one take episode.
Yeah, the had concept episodes.
Yeah, we had the cinematic episode, and so on. Like there was a few episodes that were kind of the concept ones, and this is kind of
going back a while because we had the sitcom episode in season 2.
Yeah, but even that wasn't the whole episode though. That was only select parts. I don't think it was most of it. I seem to remember that having more normal stuff interspersed.
I could be misremembering. It's been a while. I won't fight you on it.
I think it was more interspersed than that. But yeah, maybe I'm misremembering. But season 3 definitely had a few of those sort of episodes. Yeah. In a weird way, it kind of reminds me a lot of Community. Community kind of relished in doing this kind of thing where it would have these gimmick or concept episodes where it'd be, this is the paintball episode, or this is the Dungeons and Dragons episode, or this is the sort of the history documentary episode about the Civil War that happened on campus. They do these things and it would always stylistically go along with it, and this was kind of the silent episode version of that. So so needless to say, it was exciting. This will probably be a shorter discussion than normal because there's no dialogue to talk about.
Yeah, there's not as much to dissect.
So the events take place here. It starts off with Elliot taking care of the van with the dead Dark Army dude in it, and set it on fire. And Darlene is on her way because we know she was on her way from before. And it's dawn. It's Christmas morning. It's just light now. And she rolls up and she's looking at this burning van with this look of horror, worried that Elliot has burned himself in a van. And again, in true Elliot fashion, he just taps on the window from the other side, and it's like, oh, that dick. She doesn't say that, but you can just sort of see in her eyes,
you can,
yeah, that dick. And he's almost going to say something. He's like, "It's cool, dude. We don't have to talk." And that sets up the fact that this episode will have no dialogue whatsoever from this point on, barring, of course, the bookend at the end. So we have them do their plan, because we learned that last episode that they have to break into this server farm to access the servers for this bank, on site. And this episode is that heist. It is that mission. And contrary to what we normally do here with Mr. Robot, where we'll go through scene by scene in order, we'll be sticking with just this plot, mainly because I didn't have time to watch it twice, but also because I feel like with this one, it all just kind of sticks together on its own. Like each plot is just very much its own thing.
They are very separate plots. There's no real intertwining.
Yeah, so they have this whole plan, and we see them making a fake ID for Darlene. Although one beat we do have to mention here is Elliot does have a moment of basically a breakdown, where he goes to wash the blood off his hands, and he kind of has a bit of an attack and kind of sits down on the floor. But when he hears Darlene coming out the other room, he snaps back up and goes back to pretending that he's okay, which is kind of Elliot's whole character in a nutshell, is that he's got all this internal shit going on, but he's always trying to just look like he's moody and
pretty much fine, pull up the hood and just get on with it.
So they go in, and we have this game of dominoes, essentially, where Darlene goes in, she's got this wig on, she's got this ID, which obviously doesn't work on the security gate, and the whole thing is because they're waiting for because there's 2 security guards, so they wait till one is away to the bathroom or whatever, because this will only work if there's 1 security guard. So she goes in, and it's like, hey, my badge isn't working. Again, we don't hear her say that, we just sort of see the looks and glances.
You see it from Elliot outside looking in.
Yeah. And she basically, drops something. The guard helps her pick it up, and in this moment, Elliot runs in and jumps the.
I'm amazed the guy didn't hear him.
Yeah. There's a couple of little bits in this where there's some plausibility issues. There's another one that maybe is equally troublesome later on, which I'll get to. But I think I'm willing to roll with it.
I know I am. I really noticed though they went out of their way to hide it, because usually we'd watch it and we'd hear the footsteps, but they intentionally cut to the security camera footage, so we watch it from above of Elliot running over. So security camera, they don't have the sound anyway, so to us it appears silent, and it's like as if he's not making any noise anyway. So it's a trick to get around it, is to not draw attention to it essentially.
Yeah, because he's running really fast, so it would be really loud.
Yeah, it would.
But I guess, and he runs immediately to basically the not security
room. It was, yeah. It says security on the front. Yeah.
Did literally say that?
Yeah.
But he goes in and he's basically there to quickly give Darlene's like ID, the credentials it needs to.
Not even the ID itself, just insert her into it, and then the security guy.
Well, that's what I mean. He's not going to make the ID work, but the idea is that when he looks up who's meant to be on this ID, she'll show up in the system. She'll be there.
And I'll be like, oh yeah, the pass is just playing up.
Yeah. But the whole point is here is that there's very much a time crunch element where she's kind of like talking to the guy, and it's like he's got this very limited time. There's this pulsing music going the whole time. It's very...
Oh my god, the music throughout this whole episode is intense.
In fact, one thing I need to mention here is that back at the start of the episode, when Darlene's like rolling up to the van, because she at first she goes to that gas station we were at last episode, then she sees the smoke from a distance, and that's how she finds it. We hear Ode to Joy playing, and I was actually thinking during Ode to Joy, I was like, this isn't really a Christmas song, but because of Die Hard, I associate it with Christmas, so that's a neat touch. So Esmail's fingers on the pulse. And then, sure enough, like we get to the security guard stuff, and he's watching Die Hard on his laptop or whatever it is. And
Joe, I think I wasn't even allowed. It was like a portable DVD player.
Was it?
Yeah.
Clearly he's obviously he's annoyed. He's working Christmas Day. Yeah, I mean he's probably getting paid like triple time or something like that. But he's working Christmas Day, so he's thought I'm going to watch some Christmas movies sitting on my desk.
Might as well, right? It's probably going to be quiet. It's Christmas Day.
Well, I'll tell you, Elliot and Darlene showed up. It was probably going to be quiet. But yeah, I just don't know. It was a nice little. I don't want to say foreshadowing, but it just it tied together. I was like, oh yeah, like people associate that song with Christmas because of Die Hard, and here's that. And not even that. Elliot and Darlene are kind of pulling off a bit of a heist. So
I mean, more than a bit of a heist.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I say a bit of a heist because it's very different. I mean, they're not going into a vault and stealing, barra bonds.
No, it's like the heist that we had with Angela, who did the heist before. Yeah, it reminded me a lot of that.
It's a data heist. It's a hacking heist.
Yeah, just in the sense of it felt a lot of similar beats to that, just even more intense because that played more traditional heist style music for that, whereas this just went all in on the intense synth.
So obviously this works. She gets in, they meet up in the elevator, and they're
I should mention Elliot's set the security systems to update the firmware so everything's blacked out for 40 minutes.
Which is actually a really neat plan because when the security guard comes to check on it and it says upgrading firmware, it doesn't actually look suspicious. It's like, oh, goddamn thing.
So why is it doing it now? He tries to stop it. It's like, can't be cancelled. He's like, all right, fine.
Yeah. What I like about this though is that it does actually make some sense to do this on Christmas Day. Again, when you expect it to be quiet.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is actually one of the best days of the year probably to do this. So
the only thing that would have made it better was if it was at night.
Yeah, but they're on a time crunch, so
yeah, I'm not blaming them for that.
Got to get going. And the other key thing here is that Darlene made a point of leaving her phone behind so they'd get his fingerprint. Because the next part of the plan is to go to another build. Because this building isn't just a server farm, it's got a lot of different things in it, as we see later with the gym. But they go to a computer room that has a 3D printer, and they take the fingerprint, they put it into like a system. It's not, maybe it's Photoshop, but I don't think it was. And they make the model for it, and then they print it, and then they've got like the plasticine, so they've got like a soft indent of it, and it's a whole little thing. It all more or less makes sense to a layman, but without understanding the intricacies of it.
It's far more intricate than the standard. Oh, a bit of sellotape to get the fingerprint and just stick that on the scanner. It's so much more intricate than that, but it's still enough that you can follow along.
Yeah. So, and the reason why I'm doing this is because obviously to get into the server room, they need the security guards thumbprint. They can't just get in there any other way. They need access. So that's what the goal has been throughout all this. And it's during all this section when it cuts between these different parts of the plan where we cut to the other characters for the most part and see what they're doing. To sort of break up the action a little bit. But they get into the server room or the server room. Actually, one of the interesting things about this scene is because this is where my other kind of implausible thing kind of came up a little bit. Is this is all very well shot and very tense, and I love the camera going back and forth, seeing them in this one row because they go to a few different rows. But once the guard kind of like realizes something's up because he sees that panel in the elevator, he goes down and he checks his security app. Which I love that security guards have an app now. They can just check who's logged in to.
Of course they do,
doors
right?
And shit. But he just checks it. It's like, hey, it says he himself went in here, 20 minutes ago, or whatever it was, and it's like, huh? And he's like, so he calls the other guard. And he's like, hey, or text him rather, call the cops. Someone's used my ID to get in somewhere, and he goes into the server room. And I love how all this is shot. It's very tense, but this room is not that big that the amount of time that he spends going up and down aisles with them not really doing much hiding, and he never like runs into them.
Just conveniently doesn't quite get to their aisle, right?
Yeah, it's just a little bit like that. That said, though, one thing I did like here, and I wasn't really thinking about this during the episode. It wasn't really bothering me, but they did kind of like emphasize the footsteps at one point, so they kind of played with the sound a little bit. But I did
it again when Darlene's leaving on her own.
Oh no, but that's a different location. That doesn't apply to what I'm about to say. Because I was just seeing online, looking at other opinions, and someone who has worked at data centers and been in server, these big server rooms with just rows and rows of servers. Those rooms are noisy, and you wouldn't be able to hear footsteps going around. But that's good on the other side of the coin though, because it actually explains why he can't hear like Darlene typing, because she's typing away at one of the keyboards the whole time.
Those things are presumably whirring away, fans going.
Yeah, because my computer, I mean, it's not loud, but you can hear it. So if you get a whole room full of these industrial-sized, computers just lined up all over the place, it makes sense they're quite loud. But obviously that's dramatic license. They're playing with the suspense element of it, and just like, we want to hear the footsteps so we can build the tension.
Yeah. I'll let it slide because it's got to go with it.
I mean, this episode, it has its concept, and it wants to just do the concept and have fun with it. It doesn't want to be bogged down and like
it bends a couple of rules here or there.
We can't do this because this scene won't work that way. So we can get around it. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm willing to let them get away with a handful of things like that. I complained. I pointed out the bit where he runs in. I don't really care that much. They went out of their way to hide it with the security camera footage, and ultimately, episode's great. It's enjoyable. I'm willing to overlook a few little things like that at that point.
Yeah, well, that security camera thing is actually really smart because it's not trying to pretend that there is no sound. It gives us a plausible viewpoint that wouldn't have sound. It's just when you stop,
even though the guy would have sound.
It's just when you stop and think about it. I mean, what they should have done. I still think it'd been loud enough, but just to help it a little bit, they should have showed Elliot take off his shoes first, so that it was quieter. Because that would reduce it a lot. Taking your shoes off, running around in your socks. Maybe you could get a ballet dancer in there. Maybe they could do it without being heard.
Who knows? Only one way to find out.
Yeah. Surprise! Elliot's got a background in ballet from ages 14 through 18.
Hey, maybe Darlene and Angela, taught him a few things.
This is the third personality, ballet man.
It's all coming together.
So, of course, though, there's a great scene. Probably the best visual moment of the whole episode is when Elliot, because they're in there and they're kind of trapped, and he's looking around. He sees the security system, the light system he sees what company it is, and it's like, oh, hey, I can hack into that now. So he gets his laptop out and he hacks into the system. I actually thought he was going to activate the sprinklers.
I did at first as well, yeah.
But he turns off all the lights. But there's this great moment where the guard's got his like flashlight out, and he's like he sort of like holds it in one place as he sort of listens for something, and it's actually going through the sort of server rows, and there's just this beam of light hitting like Darlene right in the eyes.
And they look terrified.
Yeah, it is so good. That's a great moment. So basically, they just have to kind of bolt it, because when he eventually gets to their row, the laptop, well, it's not quite a laptop, you know, the computer that pulls out, you know, in these server rooms that you always see, they've left it out. And one of the things I love, actually, there's a lot of shots in this episode where it'll be on them or one of them, depending on what scene we're in, and it'll pan over to where the guard is or where a cop is or wherever, and then it'll pan back, and it won't be that long a shot, but by the time it comes back, they'll be gone.
Yeah.
And it does that a few times in this episode.
And this one in particular gets away with it because it's dark.
Yeah. So they run out, and the guard becomes aware of them because he hears them, you know, run out at this point. So his hearing's gotten better since Elliot ran in the building, and but Elliot zip ties the door so he can't run after them. But of course, by the time they get to the foyer, the cops have already arrived. They're kind of trapped.
I love you missed one of my favorite shots visually.
The stairs.
The stairs. Oh man,
There's something really trippy about a triangular base staircase because it has this really weird design.
Yeah, it's this triangular design, and then it's all red.
I wonder if this is...
We'll talk about colours in a bit, especially I think after we talk about Dom stuff. But
I wonder if this was a location that Esmail or someone knew about, and that's why they wrote it into it, or because I have to imagine like what the search was like if this was like in the script that we had a staircase, or was it just like, was it a normal staircase scene, and then when someone found this location, Esmail went, oh, I've got an idea how to shoot this. Like, you know,
I can see this. Play with some mirrors maybe, and you can probably get this effect. I don't know.
Maybe. But it was a visual. Yeah, it was almost like because the camera was like sort of going down the middle of this triangle, because you can't do this on a normal staircase because obviously a normal staircase is just lined up side by side as it's going down, and it's just like a really thin, narrow sort of viewpoint to go down. But because this is triangular, there's kind of a hole in the middle for the camera to kind of descend down.
It works so well.
But it gives it this kind of trippy kaleidoscope kind of thing where it gives it this feeling that the stairs are constantly like swirling as you're going down.
Yeah, it's good. And I just reply, this brings me to maybe my third and maybe final nitpick in terms of logic.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure there'd be a fire escape somewhere else. There's got to be a fire exit at the back, right? Can't be just the one door.
Sure. Maybe this is... do you know what, this is the thing? Because I was thinking this when Elliot hacks into the security system or whatever to go do the lights. I'm like, you didn't think about, like, all the things, all the systems that you can hack into that control this building. You didn't think about all this before you came in. But then it occurred to me, like, they found out about this job they had to do earlier today. This is so short notice. They're kind of like rushing this because they're on a serious crunch. So I can actually write that one off by saying they didn't have time to look at plans and sort of be aware of all the exits.
Maybe just more it would be signposted, but I'm not that bothered.
Sure, yeah. But Elliot basically realizing their backs against the wall, the main guard sort of shows up right at the windows. It's almost like a Halloween H2O moment where he's like Michael Myers. He just kind of walks into the window and the door. He's like, oh sure, kind of moment. And Elliot's like, you know what? I have to distract him so Darlene can get out.
Yeah, because he hasn't seen Darlene in there with him. Because he makes a point of looking around, seeing that she's out of the way. So Elliot just blasts past them, runs outside, past where the two cops are talking to the other guard, and we get this chase sequence through New York, which this show's always had a lot of good location work. It's always felt like it's actually in the city, but this was stunning. Like they were all over the place. They were in several streets. I think they were in Central Park at one point. Like this was. They definitely were, because I know. Even if I hadn't recognized it, the news headline that Dom sees mentioned.
That's true. You're right. Yeah. It was just street to street to street. It really felt like they were going through the city. It didn't like this show, despite the fact that it's a show on USA Network, which it doesn't have a big budget comparatively to other like shows. Somehow feels big budget with how they shoot locations.
It feels incredible, yeah. And a lot of the shots here, I feel like Esmail really enjoyed his time working on Homecoming. Because I was really feeling that direction style coming in here.
Yeah. But if Esmail wants to do like a heist thriller, just like 2 hours of this, Like,
Yeah, sign me up.
you can do it. You can go for it.
He can do 10 out of this, and I won't get bored.
So
But
yeah, so Ellie's running from cops. He runs on a bus. He gets hit by a car.
the whole time though, it just feels futile. Like you're like, at some point he's gonna run out of energy. The cops are gonna get him.
Well,
The entire time you're waiting for it.
that was the other plausibility thing. I saw people. This didn't bother me, but I saw people complain about this online that he was running really like at full speed, like for a long time.
It was, yeah.
That this is unfeasible. How much he keeps this up, but
I have one word.
Yeah.
Adrenaline.
Sure. Yeah, he's scared. He knows that he's screwed if he gets caught. Yep. Yeah. Maybe you can write it off with that. He does get a small rest on the bus though. He gets to rest for like maybe 30 seconds in the bus.
I think it's a good minute on the bus. Come on, be generous.
And I love it. When he gets to that sort of like bridge area and like the cops are coming from both sides and it feels like he's really screwed and he's looking over the edge and he's going to jump. I love that the camera doesn't show us what's down that side because I was thinking there's like water down there or something that he was going to jump into.
I thought that too, and I thought it was going to be a bit of a callback to like the first episode.
Yeah,
with
I was thinking that as well when it gets pushed off. Yeah. But it's actually just a hill that he rolls down, and luckily because we've set up this Darlene app, which is coming in handy now twice. She rolls up, and he gets in the car and they just drive off as casual as you can.
Tells me third time it's screwing him over.
Oh, sure. So Darlene's side of this, though, obviously she's trapped in the building still, and she sort of hides in an office away from, and she's around a pillar from the camera, just trying to think of what to do. And she sees like some bottles of water. And I'm thinking, what could she possibly be planning with a crate of bottles of water?
And then there's like just a red jacket kind of lying around.
Yeah, it's more like an 80s tracksuit. It's like pink and green and
it's like a sports jacket thing.
And I'm like, what is she thinking? And the reason why that we're kind of clueless at this point is because we didn't see that there was a gym sort of like just off to the side of the foyer in this place. So obviously her plan here make sure first of all that the guard that spoke to her isn't in the foyer because he'll recognize her. But she takes off her wig, she has this jacket on, and she just kind of like when she like sneaks out the actual door she comes out of, she just sort of like opens the gym door a little bit and lets it shut so you can hear it shut. As if she's just walked out there.
Like she's just come from it. It's smart.
And she just walks out, but at the same time, she's scared the whole time, as if like they might stop her and ask her something. It's
and this is the point where it really plays with the sound design. All the footsteps are really heightened. Everything's just like clicking away really loudly. It feels intense.
But what really works about this as an episode for me is that last episode was all about how Darlene felt about Elliot and how he treats her, and Elliot opened up about how much he wants to save his sister. Like if he accomplishes nothing else, he wants to make sure she can get out and have a life, right? And this episode is them working together in unison without a word. And then the end of the episode, to cap it all off when they're in the car together, is Elliot puts his hand on hers while she's driving. And it's like this sweet kind of like, unification kind of moment. He has to distract the cops while she can get away. It's interweaving, and even the start of the plan is like her going in and distracting the guy so that he can get in, and then he has to do the system thing so she can get in, and they have to constantly be relying on each other. And then at the end, absolutely. Hand on hand, and it means a lot to Darlene. You can see it on her face. So it's a really beautifully orchestrated story in that sense.
Which is why I think there was a possibility that the last line was Elliot saying something to her. Here.
Yeah. But it didn't need to be. I mean, maybe there's something in that their I don't know, love for each other doesn't have to be spoken. Like it doesn't have to be this monologue or anything like that. It can just be this simple. And especially since going back to that moment earlier on where Elliot kind of breaks down and he kind of hides it from Darlene. This idea that he actually does really need his sister right now, and he's not willing to admit it. He's not willing to show it. But by the end of the episode, he feels that she is there for him, and that's why he puts his hand on hers. So. Really good. So the other characters who all have their own little thing here. Krista, I mean, I think it's the quickest. She's going to spend the day with her boyfriend, who she's all excited about. She was going to go see her parents, but says, no, let's not do that. Let's just, be together with your stupid Christmas sweaters and our jumpers. I'm translating for everyone. So, I mean, unless you're from another country where it's neither sweater or jumper, then in which case I don't know what you call it. I'm sorry.
What's interesting, I think you kind of probably didn't need to translate that way around, because Pretty much everyone would know what a sweater is, whereas maybe not a jumper.
Yeah, but I feel like other UK people are going to be annoyed at me for saying sweater, so I feel the need to like just throw in, yes, I know I'm supposed to say jumper.
Sure, yeah, it didn't bother you saying flashlight instead of torch earlier, though, did it?
Yeah, but how often do flashlights come up in stuff we watch, though? Like, it's so common at this point, I can't do it every time.
It's true.
Every time. I mean, jumpers, like, you know, how often do we talk about a jumper? Not often.
No, I'll give you that one.
Like, every second thing we watch is always a scene with people with flashlights, like, you know, in the dark, doing stuff. Not even horror stuff. It's a common trope. Anyway, so she's at the store, she's buying stuff, not much to it. She buys some stockings, Christmas stockings for her and the boyfriend.
Late, but whatever.
Yeah, it seems a bit weird to do that on Christmas Day, but given that you're meant to have all your presents,
in the stockings in the morning.
Weird choice, but whatever. She's happy. She's in a good relationship. She's feeling good, which makes you feel a little bit sick in your stomach because you know that Vera's coming, and
it's all about to go wrong. Yeah.
The episode ends with her, getting scared because Vera's like henchman or whatever is like kind of standing there all scary, and she drops her Ben and Jerry's. Chunky Monkey, I will lose the flavor. Not my favorite, but I won't complain.
Do you know what? So I just remembered one of the bits where Elliot was running through the street and you see all the movie posters, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is 2015.
Yeah, it was like Hail Caesar was there, Sisters, which I think is that. Is that the one with Tina
Poehler and Tina Fey?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. They were. I don't think I saw them. Because it wasn't the poster with them. Because I remember the poster with them standing back to back. It wasn't that poster though.
It wasn't that poster, but that's the name of that movie.
Yeah. And it was another one. There was like 3 posters there. Were all side by side.
Yeah.
So the whole thing basically is Vera's there, and he's like, I think it's time we talked, and then cut to credits. But obviously he does smile though. I do want to point out the smile, the sick smile,
the sinister smile.
Yeah. So that's basically, there's nothing to really analyze with Krista's stuff, to be honest. For me, this is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, Prices is pretty straightforward as well. I'll probably knock that out next before we talk about Dom.
Prices is like it's intriguing. I will say he's in a restaurant on his own and he's having lunch or whatever, and he's watching this family down at the other end of their restaurant who are all having a nice Christmas lunch, or maybe it's breakfast, whatever time of day it is, and he's just kind of staring at them, and there's this great like mural behind him, like on the walls, this big painting of like it's kind of just like a busy restaurant painting, right? It's all these like rich people in like tuxedos and stuff, and they're all having like a great time. And it's kind of like just this image of him on his own. It's like, yeah, you've got all this power, or at least, I mean, you're kind of on your way out now, but you achieved all this power. You felt powerful for a long time, and you're essentially left with nothing, which is partly why he wants to fight now. So obviously him looking at this family be happy on Christmas is kind of this.
Yeah, I think part of it is, the family was taken from him, even though he was never that involved. It was barely family because, it had been that long.
Yeah, but I think
robbed.
But I think just the idea that this is what his life is, like he was never going to have that because of the life he chose, and it's like it's lonely at the top. It's lonely, sort of being this successful.
I think it's interesting though that he probably never felt that before Angela's death.
Oh yeah, not before. But I think that's a new thing for him. But I think that's what he's feeling now. But the one thing I want to note down though is how violent the waiter slaps the bill.
Yeah, I'm surprised the other family didn't look around at that.
Because I'm not going to lie, I may have jumped a little bit. It was a bit of a jump scare.
It was quite loud and out of nowhere.
He just walks in from like the right of the screen and just slaps this bill on the table. And it's in the leather sort of wallet kind of thing that they give them. And so it's quite loud. It's this proper slap. But it's actually a hidden message saying to go to this go to E-Corp. There's going to be a trumpet player. Give him $20. Was it trombone? Whatever. Yeah. Pick your brass instrument. And he goes there. He's kind of like, again, he's reminiscing. He's looking at the big E, and he's like,
The good old days when I didn't give a shit.
Just reminiscing about the past. But then this player's there, and he goes over, gives him $20, and there's a receipt for a dry cleaner. So that sends him to the dry cleaners. And I thought it was going to be more of this, actually. We don't really see him again until the end, and we see that he's got a suit from the dry cleaners, but inside the pocket of the suit is a location and time for the meeting, the Deus meeting, and he texts Elliot, who for the record texted him at the start when he was at the restaurant saying Tyrell's not coming because he got a little bit shot.
And he looked really frustrated about that. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah. So, really simple stuff. Obviously, this entire episode was about being prepared for that meeting, so they achieved their goals. So,
Yeah.
of course, there's a wrench in there, which we're about to get to in Dom's plot. Dom is getting ready for Christmas. She's going to her mother's. She's got like a big box of Christmas cookies. She's ready to go. You know, it's funny. My first instinct, even though I saw the box of cookies in her hand, was that she'd actually, because there was like the actual cases they came in, because she didn't make them. She just bought a couple of boxes of cookies and then put them in her own tub. Right?
Smart.
I'm looking at those empty boxes. I thought, oh, it's showing us how depressed she is. She's eating these two boxes of candy.
Oh, that would be sad.
But no, she should just repackage
She's
them.
just being lazy and making it look like she's baked cookies.
Yes. But she gets a text from Janice saying that she has to go and, the van, the crime scene. Like, there's one of her vans has been burned. Go and try and ID the body. Use your FBI clearance to get in there and see what you can find out. And we see her at the crime scene, looking around at things. She decides to leave, and when she's leaving, she gets very frustrated at this red light because it's just not changing. There's no traffic coming from any direction, but this red light's not changing at this intersection. And she decides to just go through it, and she gets the camera flash. She gets done for running a red light.
I was thinking that this red light was okay, this is them sending her a message. Right, stop here. Something's about to happen.
Oh, you thought this was conspiracy stuff? No.
No, it wasn't. But it was in my head.
No, this was set up because she noticed that whoever drove through this earlier probably got the photograph taken, which becomes relevant later. Because later on, when she texts Janice, she says, "Look out for any red light photos that are coming in from this, this road." And of course that results in once she's done with everything else and she's back home with her family, she gets another text saying, "Hey, something else urgent's came up. We have get these two troublemakers." And I love the look in Dom's face when she sees Elliot and Darlene.
She's just like, oh, god damn it, these pricks again.
These two idiots. I love it so much. But of course, before that, she's in the local police station in this small town. And she, again, it does this thing. There's a lot of like cameras following people back and forth in this episode, like we said.
Yeah.
And like Dom goes up, she goes to over the kitchenette area, and the camera comes back and it focuses on this cop who's sit down. And actually, something I really liked here, just in a simple directing point of view, is that it makes a point of really like showing you her desktop, so that later on when we get the remote desktop stuff, you recognize without a shadow. I mean, it's quite obvious what she's doing anyway, but without a shadow of a doubt, you know that's this cop's desktop. This is her, her stupid cat's Christmas background.
Yeah, I realize a lot of things here where at the crime scene, this cop's there, and her phone rings, and we hear, okay, this is her ringtone, and it's as 2015 dated as it gets. But then it rings again.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know the song, but
I think it's just called "All About That Bass." It's a horrible song.
Okay.
Very annoying. But when we hear it ring again, we immediately know, oh, that's her phone, and you can tell it's not at the desk because just by the sound.
She hid it in the donuts.
Yeah, didn't leave any donuts for her though, did she?
Dom deserves a donut. She's
just
stressed.
Crumbs.
She's stressed. She needs donuts. Do you know what my favourite part about this whole thing is? My favourite little touch in this entire shot, as she goes up to the donut box and comes back, is that when she's walking back to her desk, you can actually see Dom leaving just at the side of the screen. You never see her face. You just see her like putting on a red coat and just going out.
Yeah.
And again, red. Yes, red's the theme in this episode.
I've got more than just red to talk about when we get to the end of this.
Yeah, there's a lot of red.
There is a lot of red.
A lot of red. Red staircase, red coat, red lights, red stalking with Krista. There was red everywhere.
Yeah.
So she says that, and she does the remote desktop, and she tells Jan, okay, you've got access to these, because basically what she wanted is she wanted her away from her computer long enough to install just a little thing in her, the back of her cables, so that they'd have access. So Josh is like, good job, thumbs up. Like, so happy. And that's also when she gives her the red light, camera.
And then she gets a double thumbs up.
She gets a double thumbs up. And then Dom looks absolutely devastated because she's doing all this shady stuff that she doesn't want to be doing. And this is, because we talked about before, how this is like going against her every belief she has. And I love that she looks over our cookies, our Christmas cookies, because it's like, oh, that's like her family life, and that's like it's almost a reminder of like how out of character she's being. And it's this beautiful little moment. But notable when she's taking the dog out for a walk later, she's with her parents and everyone else is running around. There's some kids. She goes out to walk the dog and she notices a white van. And obviously she's been paranoid since episode 1 about them watching her, and we've seen white vans on her street. But now she's actually been sent to a crime scene that's relevant to the Dark Army with a white van. She's like, that's like almost confirmation that these white vans are definitely them. So she actually notes down the license plate, she notes down where it was parked, and it feels like, and it's not a lot, but it feels like she's going to start keeping tabs, and she's probably going to use this information in a big way when relevant. Maybe when she teams up with Elliot and Darlene, perhaps.
I would not be surprised if that's the case, and it feels like the next episode is going to be about, okay, let's bring her into the fold now.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the actual Deus meeting's not until the episode after it. Like something I'm loving about this season is how condensed the time is. I love that the last episode was like Christmas Eve night, and then this was Christmas Day morning, and we know we're going to be doing stuff during the meeting, even if we don't see everyone at the meeting because it's all these world leaders we can't film. Like I feel like we're going to have at least one more episode in Christmas Day, or like I said, if not 2, if we get like one before the meeting happens.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The meeting could well be the episode after next, because I think next episode you might focus in really hard on Dom's side of things and bringing them in together, and Price is just forgotten about, for the episode.
Yeah. It's funny. They weren't quite doing a Die Hardy thing, but I think them running around the building is as Die Hardy as this is going to get. So
probably,
yeah.
No vents though, unfortunately.
No vents. Obviously, the one thing missing is actual terrorists to be running away from. That's the one thing missing to really.
Yeah, give it a couple episodes.
But yeah, no. So that was Dom's side of things. So go on. You've been sitting there itching to talk about your colors all.
I am. So because we talk about red a lot, but it's not just red. Green is the other key color in this episode,
which is traditionally the opposite color on the traffic lights. Just for the record.
No, it is. It is. And there are shots. One of the first things we see in this episode is the green traffic light.
In fact, on top of that, just to keep it thematic with the season, red and green are also the most traditional Christmas colors. So.
Yeah, which is why it's so subtle to just use those colors, right? It doesn't look out of place in a Christmas setting to have people wearing that combination of colors. For example, Dom.
Was Janice wearing a green apron? I want to say.
I think she was. Yeah.
Okay.
I think she was. I found what I could tell anyway. The green was used whenever Dom was being proactive, even for good or bad. So whenever she was at the crime scene, she was just sat there. She wasn't happy. She was in a red coat. She's in a red car.
To simplify it, green means go. She was doing things.
Yes. yeah. But but it was so specific here, where she's in the red coat, red car, red light.
Red means block or stop or whatever. Yeah, there's something in the way. Yeah.
But I think it's more just a mindset, like a mentality of she doesn't want to be doing this. She's not all there.
Yeah, but I'm thinking with Elliot and Darlene with the red staircase, like they were actively they were blocked from the elevator because of what was happening, so they had to run down the staircase. So there was this kind of like thematic thing going with that.
Yeah. And then so with Dom, when she gets to the police station, the bit where she's actually doing her heist bit, where she's moving the phone and going to the kitchen, coat's gone and she's wearing green underneath. And then as soon as she leaves, red back on. She's done now.
Do you know what I like about this is that she somehow, despite the fact that obviously it's a very separate plot, she's actually doing a very similar tactic to what Darlene was doing with the phone. They kind of had like a very similar kind of
distraction and
kind of thing. So even though it was a much simpler and smaller thing compared to what Elliot and Darlene were doing, it kind of thematically tied in. And even less so, you've got Price just like getting secret messages and things like that, and then Krista, who's the most innocent, is just doing her shopping.
She's the victim of it.
She's the victim, yes.
But the other big color example I want to talk about was at the end when the van's there. She goes and writes down the sign. So there's actually a red stop sign that is almost entirely covered up by the van, and the address is on a green sign.
Oh yeah, all the road signs are all green signs, yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. But this in particular is green sign, and then she's making this active, conscious choice to go in and write it down, and investigate this and pay attention.
It just adds, because this moment here with the van is very much her making a choice to be proactive, and that's something that's there anyway. Yeah. It just kind of adds to that. It's like a little layer on top of it.
Like if it had just been the green sign, because like I say, yeah, they're all green, I could have just overlooked it. But it's the fact that there is a red sign underneath, mostly covered up.
Yeah.
That really hammers it home for me as, okay, that was intentional.
So, no, there you go. I started this by saying it'd probably be a shorter discussion. Actually, it wasn't. It's about the same episode length as last time. So, never mind. That has been Mr. Robot, Season 4, Episode 5. You can let us know what you thought of it in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fudge for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can do that by rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts, which is what most people use. Give us 5 stars. More people will find us that way. You can also support us financially over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can do that for as little as $1 per month, and you get some bonus stuff, some extras, and higher tiers you get voting rights and producer credits and all sorts of things. So go and have a look and see if you want to do that, and just contribute a little bit and help keep all the content coming. But otherwise, that is us. I guess the other thing to say is to tell you to check out all the content we have. Me and Tara have been reviewing Watchmen, which has been very good. Been equally kind of length in terms of reviews, actually. So also very meaty in terms of discussion. And of course, I had a bunch of pilots over the past weekend from Apple, and then His Dark Materials from HBO/the BBC. So some interesting stuff to talk about. And not that we liked really any. Well, one of the Apple pilots was okay, but the other 2 that we tried were not very good. So go and have a look at those if you want to hear our thoughts. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?